So in this video I wanted to cover how I run my online programs. So basically the first step is if a person contacts me and they say they're interested in training is I email them a detailed assessment form. In that assessment form they'll have a medical history questionnaire, so they'll basically cover like, do you have any lower back issues? Do you have any knee issues? Have you had a hernia in the past? Have you had previous surgery that could affect a training program? Another part of the assessment would be a goal questionnaire. You know, like where are you now? Where are you planning on headed? Like what's your goal? What have you tried in the past? What are you currently trying? Another part of the assessment would be a detailed lifestyle questionnaire, and that questionnaire basically covers, you know, varying topics from the person's, how are their current eating habits, like nutrition? Are they eating like factory farm food or organic? Are they eating out a lot? Or are they cooking at home most of the time? Are they using the microwave and stuff of this sort? How their stress is in life. Is their stress very high or very low? Their meal timing, detoxification system, how their digestive system is working, and also if they have like a parasite and fungal infection as well, and their overall stress assessment. And then the last part of the questionnaire would be their body weight. So basic statistics, you know, like what are your circumference measurements? What is your body weight first thing in the morning on an empty stomach? What's your body fat percentage? The last part I include is basically like if a person's goal is to lose body fat or to visually transform their body, they're able to also send me a picture of their body basically from the front, side, and back. Usually with online clients I tell them they could just exclude the head just for privacy. That way I can give them a lot of input on exactly what they would need to change in their body visually to kind of like enhance their aesthetics and enhance their fat loss goal in general. And that also helps me create the workout program. So if the person needs maybe slightly wider shoulders or slightly more narrow midsection, would focus, okay, so for the narrow midsection, would kind of try to diet down a lot or do these specific exercises. And then for the shoulders, we would do these exercises, which would make you kind of look wider at the top, but more narrow in the midsection, so it would give you more of that V-tapered appearance. And all that is kind of taken into consideration when creating the training program.
All right, so the next step would be like basically once I get the paperwork back from the client is I would take a look at the paperwork and try to figure out kind of like a strategy that we should approach based off their goals. So I kind of just filled this out like really quick just to give an example. So this person was like 32. They stated that they're like pretty healthy. They did state that they have some kind of injuries or orthopedic issues. So for instance, for example, this person would be kind of like a lower back injury, and then we would have to kind of like adjust the program based off their injury. So I wouldn't include kind of like right off. So well, first of all, I would talk to the person in depth about it, but I wouldn't include probably like deadlifts like right off the ground. Maybe like include like rack pulls at an elevated surface and then kind of work our way down or something like that. It would be the same thing if they're having like shoulder issues or neck issues. It would be kind of like very customized to kind of their limitations and injuries if they do have injuries. So in this example, the person had some kind of like minor back injury, for instance. All right, so after looking at their medical history form, the next thing I'm going to look over is basically their lifestyle questionnaire. And like I mentioned before, the lifestyle questionnaire kind of goes over in depth of their eating quality, stress patterns, their digestive health, and they'll fill out this whole entire form. And at the end, what I'll get is basically this chart right here. And this chart will give me a visual of basically how they're doing in the categories we talked about. So their stress, their nutrition, sleeping patterns, how they're eating or when they're eating, their meal timing rather, digestive health, fungal and parasite, if they do have a fungal and parasite infection, and most people do, and how well their detoxification system is working as well. So in this person's example, let's just say you wanted to lose like 20 or 30 pounds. So how I would use this lifestyle assessment to determine what kind of program this person needs to do is the following way. So basically I'll look at this and I'll see this person's in the red and in the yellow in most categories, and their overall score is definitely in the red. So what that instantly tells me is this person's extremely exhausted. They're probably having chronic fatigue, and it doesn't make any sense to basically throw this person into a training routine that's like 5 to 6 days a week of high intensity, kind of these boot camp training classes or like CrossFit, for instance, and with 2 hour, like high volume routines with like 2 hour routines as well. because this person is already exhausted and they have no vitality and energy, or the very little vitality and energy left. So what I would do is kind of, as we implement a workout routine that's kind of maybe 3 to 4 days a week, we would also work on, what I do for instance is work on bringing down these two scores. So basically their stress and their eating quality. So we need to improve their eating quality, and then we need to decrease their stress. By decreasing these two, these will fall down as well. It'll kind of like minimize these as well. And the goal is for a long-lasting change, for a person to not have lose 20 pounds but then gain 20 pounds and 2 years later and feel exhausted the entire time. And if you want like long-lasting change, we would need to bring this score into the green in every single category. So as we're implementing that training routine, we would kind of work on slowly chipping these away and kind of making them, once again, more in the green and kind of like healthier patterns in general. So something else I provide, which is totally optional, is if a person sends me their progression pictures, or their initial starting pictures, I kind of help look at their physique. And if their goal is like, for instance, fat loss or body composition, and they kind of want to really work on just improving the visual appearance of their body, I kind of give them pointers on basically some things we need to work on. So here, just as in this example, I just use pictures of myself. So basically I would just tell this person, okay, we need to kind of like tighten up your stomach a little bit, work on reducing your body fat quite a bit and bringing in like a lot more definition on the external and internal obliques here, kind of bring out the chest a little bit and kind of even it out as well. Kind of work on making the shoulders a little bit bigger and bringing in like a little bit more definition on the arms. And on the front, I would say kind of like the same thing, work on bringing in a bit more definition on the abs, make the legs a little bit wider from the front view, kind of slim down that midsection a bit from the sides, kind of get rid of those love handles, kind of same thing on here as well. So I'll say like, we need to kind of chip away at these love handles, make the lats and shoulders a lot bigger, because that way the wider the lats are, the wider their shoulders are, the more narrow the midsection would look. And also while we're slimming down that midsection, we're going to be increasing the width of your upper body. So once again, it will give it even more of that kind of slimmer, leaner look. So you don't actually have to lose that much body fat to look like very lean and V-tapered. So I go over things like that, and it's very dependent on the person's goal. So that's kind of like another thing that's included with the online training program. So the next step in the assessment would be just for me to look over the person's statistics. So basically this person wanted to lose some weight. Their starting weight, as an example, is 200 pounds, and their starting body fat was 20%. And their goal was to basically decrease their body fat percentage to 10%. So here's what I would do with that information. I would kind of lay it out. I would basically go, okay, this person's 200 pounds. They're at 20% body fat. They want to be at 10% body fat. Thus, at 20%, they're carrying 40 pounds of fat mass. And at 10%, they would be carrying 20 pounds of fat mass. So they basically need to lose 20 pounds of total fat mass. And their end goal weight would be about 180 pounds. So I would look at it and I would go, okay, so we can try to lose 2 pounds of fat per week, which is pretty realistic. That will take about 10 weeks, and that will take about, in total, about 2.5 months. So that way we have like a timeline as well. So we have a starting point, which is 200 pounds, 20%. We have an end point, which is going to be basically 180 pounds at 10% body fat. We know we want to lose 20 pounds of total fat, and that's going to take us exactly 2.5 months based on the program we're going to do. So based on kind of looking over their assessment and looking over their statistics, I'm going to create kind of like a workout program. And it's going to look roughly like this. With the workout programs, I do update them once every 4 weeks, or sometimes once every 3 weeks, depending on the person's goal. So basically here, it will outline exactly which days of the week they're working out. So this person, just for example, is working out 4 days a week on like Monday, Tuesday. They're off on Wednesday. They're working out Thursday, Friday, and then they're off on Saturday and Sunday. We have some general goals based on their assessment that they need to follow. And then kind of some starting goal weight. This is just an example, ending goal weight, and then kind of week to week how they should be progressing. That way we have like an objective measurement of measuring short-term goals, and then kind of long-term monthly or medium-term monthly goals, and then our long-term end goal which would be, and this person's example is 180, but that would go here. And then the person would flip over, and basically on their workouts, they would have exact exercises they need to do, tempos they need to do them in, basically their reps, sets, and a place to write it in. So everything is detailed what they need to do on workout 1, workout 2, 3. This person has 4 workouts, so workout 4. Once again, it lasts for 4 weeks total. And then I introduce, like, based on their kind of reassessment at the end of the month, I introduce like another training routine based on the specific goals on hand at that point. Another thing that's included with the program is I basically outline like an ideal schedule that facilitates that person's specific goals and based on their current schedule. So we would basically go over, like ideal times to work out. So this person is ideally like midday during their lunch break. So they worked out here, kind of when to have their meals, when to go to bed, when to wake up, so that way they have like structure and consistency in their schedule too. So I find this to be actually very important because it lays the foundation to the entire training routine because you can have like a great workout program and a great nutrition program, but if you don't have like a good way of organizing that within your weekly schedule, it just proves to be too inconsistent to be effective, even if it is a good program. So that's why I include this as part of the training program. With the nutrition programs, I like to be a lot more hands-on with the client. So for instance, like I mentioned before, with the workout programs, I usually update those like once every 4 weeks or so, depending on the client's goals, of course. But with the nutrition programs, I typically have once a week check-ins with the client just to see how they're progressing, see how they're feeling, what their energy levels are, how their body weight is fluctuating, how their strength levels are fluctuating in the gym, and then kind of adjust the nutrition program based on that. And I feel that really has to be done for the person to benefit the most out of it. So basically I would outline exactly, how many calories they should have on their training days, what their fat, carbohydrate, and protein intake should be on those days as well, and then also what it should be on your days off also to optimize rest and recovery, which is oftentimes different than what you're going to have on your training days. And to kind of make it more time efficient, I made a very easy to use software in Excel that I give to my online clients to allow them to basically calculate these calories and these macronutrients such as like protein, carbs, and fat very easily. So the person can kind of plug in exactly what they want to eat on a daily basis, and then it'll tell them exactly how many calories and proteins and fats, etc. they're going to be getting on a daily basis. So they can plug in like sockeye salmon or something else, and it'll tell them exactly what they're getting. So that way they don't have to go searching around Google or using an app or something to keep track of their calories and their macros as well. I also provide basically how much water they should be drinking and also their daily dietary fiber intake to kind of keep their digestive system running and kind of keep them regular in terms of the bathroom. And once the client kind of finishes putting together their calories and their macros in that software I mentioned, the nutrition program would kind of look something like this. So basically it would tell them like what you would have for meal 1, meal 2, meal 3 would be like a shake, meal 4, and then also kind of like a supplement recommendation. And I will go over with clients in terms of how to source like high quality like proteins, fats, and carbohydrates as well. So the difference between, the nutritional profile, difference between organic versus like factory farm, and whether that difference should even be considered in that person's nutrition program. And then I'll also give them kind of links and sources of where they can find high quality supplements that come from facilities that are CGMP certified, which are very, very rare to come by. So they'll be provided with that information as well.